Hey everybody, this is Pastor Doug at the church next door. I was blessed to be able to preach this weekend, Saturday night and Sunday morning. Brought a message from Matthew 13:52. Didn't get to do everything I wanted to do though. So I've been asked if you had 5 more minutes, what would you add? Well, if I had 5 more minutes to tack on to that message on Matthew 13:52, it would be about that opening phrase that Jesus gives us where it says, therefore, every teacher of the law who becomes a disciple is like the owner of a house who brings out of his storeroom treasures new as well as old. That phrase, every teacher of the law who becomes a disciple, a couple of things about it that you miss in English. First of all, this phrase, teacher of the law, that's only one possible translation. There are a couple others. Another is scribe, because that is these teachers of the law, they didn't just teach the law, they copied it by hand. They didn't have, copiers or printers back in that time, so books were copied by hand. They did that copying, so they were called scribes. But they were also called experts because by the process of copying the law by hand, they learned it very well. They knew it. They knew it backwards and forwards. And the question then becomes, well, if all three of these terms are synonymous, teachers of the law, scribes, experts, and as we see them in the Gospels, those terms used in the Gospel, they are clearly synonymous. Which is the best choice here? I think the best choice here is expert. I think what Jesus is talking about is an attitude of expertise, the belief that you know everything that there is to know, and if you come across something that is opposite to what you know, then it must be wrong. That's exactly what we see in this group of people in Matthew chapter 12. They believed they knew what the Messiah was. They didn't think Jesus was that, and so they come and say, well, you're not the Messiah. The thing is that we are often experts as well, or we are often experts in our own minds. Not just this group of people, but it's us as well. In fact, I think that's kind of hidden in the verse, because if you think about it, Matthew 13:52, there are no teachers of the law, there are no scribes, there's no experts around when Jesus makes this statement. So he's making a statement about a group of people that's not there. Well, why would he do that? Well, because he's not really talking about that group of people. He's talking about something that is universal to all people, and this is this belief that we are experts, that we know all that needs to be known. When I was over at Wesleyan High School, just about a mile this way or so, I suppose, there was a kid in a pottery. We were in the pottery class, which is somewhere in the center of the building. I think we had knives and tools and everything. So the teacher was nowhere around, so we were left our own devices. This kid had a cast on his arm. He pulls out a knife and he starts hacking away. He's cutting off his cast. I couldn't believe it. I've never seen anybody do anything like that before. I said, hey, are you supposed to be doing that? He said, no, the doctor says I still need to wear the cast for 2 more weeks, but I think it's healed enough. So he cut the cast off and he went his way. And that kid's not the only one who has behaved like that or has thought like that. We've all walked out of the doctor's office and said, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He told me to stop doing X, Y, Z. I'm not gonna, right? We've all walked out of high school and said, the teachers don't know what we're talking about. We've all walked out of college and said, the professors don't know what he's talking about. We've all walked out of church and said, Doug doesn't know what he's talking about, right? Particularly this weekend. You may have said that, right? We're experts. We're experts in our own minds. And what Jesus is telling us here is, you're never going to be taught, and you're never going to get the treasure that I have to offer you if you continue to think of yourself as an expert. We could approach Jesus as an expert. We say Jesus doesn't know what he's talking about. Peter did that in Matthew 16, just a couple chapters later. Jesus says, I'm going to Jerusalem to be crucified. As you know, Peter says, that'll never happen to you, Lord. Jesus says, get behind me, Satan. Peter thought he was the expert on what the Messiah was going to be like, just like the teachers of the law, just like the scribes. And Jesus had to say, you're not the expert. You need to set aside your expertise. You need to be taught by me. Jesus is saying the same thing to us in Matthew 13:52. If you want the treasure that he has to offer, you have to resign as expert of your life and acknowledge that there are things that he can teach you. That's what I would have said if I had 5 more minutes.